Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer Los Angeles, California, to be pseudo-specific. My name is BrianEngelman. Today is August the 12th, 2025. And this right here is the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. On today's show, we're going to discuss all of the things. The walls are closing in for Adam Schiff. Washington, D.C. is under new management. Everything is being reconfigured. And I'm here for it. We should have our suspicions. We should have our concerns. We should have our guiding principles. In fact, I am in some conversations with some libertarian, how do I say this? I'm having a conversation with a libertarian who might have a different opinion of what's going on with taking over Washington, D.C. Well, D.C. has been a mess for a long time. And do you need to liberate people? Do you need to clean up these hellscapes created by the Democrats? Decade after decade after decade after decade. There's a lot of big blue cities that have been a complete Democrat stranglehold for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60. I mean, you go back and you look at these places that don't seem to have any concern about arresting the bad guys and keeping the streets safe. And it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. You can't have a nation's capital that's dangerous like this. I love what President Trump said yesterday about the restaurant analogy. I think he said something along the lines of, and maybe it's in the stack of video clips that we're going to play for you on today's program, because previous Brian set up the content that I'm going to play for current Brian with you. So we'll see if he gets a gold star for doing show prep today. But President Trump said something like, my dad used to always tell me, if you go into a restaurant and the front door is dirty, don't eat there. If the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty, don't eat there. How are people going to be coming to Washington, D.C. and having homeless encampments and human filth, waste, excrement, needles and drug paraphernalia and shootings? And think of Seth Rich, think of Big Balls, think about, there's a CNN anchor who was telling the story about how dangerous it was. Benny Johnson's sharing footage of the murder in his front yard. That stuff is absolutely terrifying. It's monstrous. You have just got to clean that element up of your cities. And so, in typical Democrat fashion, if President Trump's for it, they're against it. I want to clean up the water. We want dirty water. We want dirty water. Orange man bad. Brown water better. I mean, it's like a disease. But in my libertarian talk, I don't know. I think his main point, so far as I've been able to distill it, and we're still sort of beating around the bush on it, but it'd be too expensive. And our founders didn't envision a big capital like this. And then maybe just give it back to Maryland or something else. I'm just like, I don't mind having a perimeter around the city as it is. Just instead of having a Democrat mayor and a Democrat district attorney that won't prosecute the dirtbags and take them off the streets. Because you know why? If they did it once, they're likely to do it a second time. But if they're in jail, they're not doing it. They're not causing problems in your community. It's really that easy, and it always has been. So we've been living in a cuckoo clock where the Democrat district attorneys just will not keep their neighborhoods safe. I don't know why they want those minority groups terrorized constantly in the big blue cities. It sounds a little racist to me. I mean, if we want to start playing their game, yeah, I'd say the most racist thing you could imagine would be to get a whole bunch of underserved communities. I don't even know what particular verbiage certain groups prefer to have used when you're trying to describe their voting demographic, but yeah, minority groups in big cities are being absolutely terrorized. Look at Memphis, look at DC, look at Chicago. Like, it's putrid. Feels a little racist to like let these minority communities absorb 20% higher, 100% higher, 500% higher rates of violence. Instead of, wait for it, I know it's a controversial subject, arrest the bad people. And then if they want to get out of jail, you have a bit of a program with them to help them get work or help them get off drugs or stay clean. And you tell them, if you're ever seen here again, your sentence is 5 times what it just was. Minimum. You know, and they did the 3 strikes, you're out. It's like, well, 95% of the crimes are committed by 5% of the people. Get rid of the chronic offenders and you'll watch the health, you'll watch the awesomeness of your community improve. Democrats haven't been given that to you, and Trump's had enough of it, and frankly, so have I. Having lived in a big blue city for a lot of years, working very closely to try to keep, you know, the basics, keep bullets from flying through people's homes. That happened. Keep people from being offed in the street. That happened. You know, keep pit bulls from attacking ladies, kids. That happened. Cars from being set on fire. Yeah, fights in the street. Like, you know, just a couple of people causing almost all of the problems. And it took forever to get some assistance. That's not how it's supposed to be. So, yeah, President Trump has invoked home rule, something that Mike Lee has been in favor of, and I believe Glenn Beck is in favor of. And a lot of people are just saying, drop the hammer. These people they're either traitors to the American people and intentionally allowing the criminality, or they're completely incompetent. Either way, they need to be replaced immediately. So we will discuss that topic. Like I said, Adam Schiff, a potential ceasefire meeting with Putin and Zelensky, I think, in Russia with Trump, and all of the other news. We will unpack it on today's show. Hit like, hit subscribe, and buckle up, because we're about to start the T-Dam Daily Show, a division of the Agree to Disagree show, right now.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Hit like, hit subscribe, however you're watching. What's up, John Boy? He's going on YouTube, watching a whole bunch of videos, 69 out of 83. Yeah, you just keep reminding me that I probably have hundreds of videos that I have not put into the playlist appropriately. I should probably make a note to do that. I was going to make a note for something else as well. Or as Mitch Hedberg said, as a comic, you're on the road, and you're always trying to think of new material. Or if the pen and paper are too far away from you on the other side of the room, convince yourself that what you just thought of ain't that funny. So yeah, that is something I want to do. I want to go back through and make sure the playlists are accurate, because they're not. But thank you so much. We are, what is our latest tally? We knocked off a few more. Let me check the studio. We are attempting to get, yeah, it's crazy. All these extra views, and we see the subscriber count moving in the opposite direction. It's kind of incredible. Let's see. It looks like we have, all right, 2346. So that's 54. 654. We need 654 pennies thrown in the wishing well. Those are, each penny is 1 hour of footage viewed on the New American Media YouTube channel. So if you could go there, definitely watch the 5-hour show that we did, remembering the 1980s with Hulk Hogan, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne. That's a 5.5-hour show. A great way to watch that would be 5.5 pennies. So if you could pull out some extra devices, go to the YouTube channel and just play all of our videos. We're trying to get 654 pennies in the wishing well, and we should be able to apply for monetization again, something YouTube has screwed us out of for a long time, many, many years. 6 years. We were starting to actually get a decent amount of advertising revenue, which, if you're trying to do this as a career, that's how you make your money. That's how we're all doing this. Except they don't like you. If you're a fan of this show on the New American Media, they didn't let you see it. They don't want people to know it's out there. They don't let people get the alerts that we're live, and they don't show up recommended videos in the feed, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that their narrative, the lies, the propaganda, the misinformation, the disinformation, that's the only thing you're able to see. Well, we rely upon the kindness of viewers like you to support us with your clicks, to support us in all of the ways. Sharing this show is one of the best ways to do so as well. So yeah, your mission, should you choose to accept it, go to the New American Media YouTube and just watch as many YouTube videos on the New American Media as you can. 654 pennies. Each penny is a hour watched, a valid YouTube hour watched. And I don't know how many hours we have. That's actually a good question. I don't know if I'm able to get analytics like that, but we have 2,000 videos over the past 14 years. A lot of big names. If you scroll through some of the popular, you'd be surprised some of the places we were, the interviews we got, and some of the content that we created, original documentaries and whatnot. So thank you to all of you, John Boy and Nick Adams and everybody else rolling into chat. Appreciate you being here as always. All right, let's start digging through the stories. Starting with, do we start with this one? I don't think the other one here. Let me hit refresh, because that might be the only one I can start with. Yeah, I was correct. All right. Nick Sorter here clips this out and says U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro is absolutely cooking our D.C. government. You want to know why they've decided to federalize Washington, D.C.? Well, because it's absolutely out of control, completely mismanaged, reckless, careless, violent, and enough is enough. Here you go, Judge Jeanine. And it's on mute. Play it again.
Very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, and to all my partners here. We all want the same thing. We all want a safe city. We want a safe capital. We want to be able to bring our families here. We want to be able to come and enjoy the history that makes this place great.
And by the way, let me just say, when I was there a year ago, I don't know, when was it? Year and a half? Yeah, close to just about a year ago. Met a producer with one of the other networks, and they sent a message like, hey, it's our 1-year anniversary. I'm like, oh, has it been a year already? And yeah, making contacts, making friends. But when I was in DC, the place, I had a blast. We had an Airbnb that was nice. We were able to get into the neighborhoods and back and through the Capitol, and we were lucky, I suppose. or because it was around the Libertarian Convention. It was kind of, you know, pseudo isolated to a nicer hotel in a nicer area ish. Then again, you know, tell it to Seth Rich, tell it to the MSNBC anchor who told her story. I think that's in our stack for X. But, you know, when I went to these cities, I had a pretty doggone great time. But that doesn't mean that all of these other things are not simultaneously happening. And it's not okay. It's just not.
And unfortunately, we are not in that position right now. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for taking the step that we need right now to make criminals understand that they are not going to get away with it anymore. And I'm not going to stand here and go over and over the cases. But what I can tell you is this. I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest. Intent to kill? I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the D.C. Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens. Yeah. And it starts today. But it's not going to end today, because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the state attorney general, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids, because I can't arrest them, I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr.
I mean, I'll do LFG button. It's just you can't let the inmates run the asylum. Where all of you are living, are you in big cities? Or are you more rural? Or more, how would you define where you at? Question of the day. All of you lurking and not typing in the comments, drop a comment real quick. Would you say you live in a big city, a suburb, or somewhere rural? Rural, suburb, big city. Type it in the comments. Because I feel like it's a somewhat universal situation that we're dealing with as a nation. This virus, this mind virus that wants to be super lenient on people that are abusing their neighbors. It's like, no, there's supposed to be a non-aggression principle. Try not to harm the people around you and just get it done. Get work done. Do your stuff. Be productive. Don't harm somebody else. The essence of libertarianism, the do as thou wilt part of libertarianism, it really only works when in conjunction with do no harm. You can't be spinning your arms around, twisting sideways like a tornado, knocking everything off everyone else's desk, smacking people in the face, spinning around, twirling. You don't get to just go do your thing. If it means stealing some of your neighbor's stuff, you don't get to do that. Lake Leon says, rural. Yeah, growing up in Cleveland, they would do the weather, and they would talk about rural Tuscarawas County. Rural Tuscarawas County. Tuscarawas. By the way, Indians, Cleveland Indians. Yeah, Ohio is a very big Indian tribe area historically. Okay, yeah, you're out there, Lake Leon, 10 miles just to get into a small town. Yeah, that's sort of what it was when I was in Taos, New Mexico, building earth ships. It was like 20 minutes to get into the smaller city. And then to get into Taos is another 20 or 40, 20 or 30 or something like that. Something like that. But yeah, Judge Deneen says this insanity is stopping now. Hey, did you see we have our first female umpire? Well, unfortunately, the ball went there and they called it a strike. Not a great start. Was there not a...
Yes! There!
Oh my gosh, that one was way out too. I don't know. Major League Baseball is... This meme says if DEI was a picture. And you go, I don't know. You can't... Just because they're the first female to ever do it, it doesn't make a difference. Just call them balls and strikes. In the very first pitch, it looks like it was not even close. And then showing more stuff that they don't appear to be qualified. So beware the memes of the lady umpire. It was very embarrassing. I thought it had the little video there, but I can't seem to find it. Yeah, they're showing right there. You can see it's on the umpire's knee, 93. That's where the ball hit. The strike zone's all the way over here. Like generously, the very edge of the strike zone is several baseballs away. In their very first moment in the spotlight, it was just an absolute mess where people are claiming that they're unqualified for the position, which that's what DEI does. DEI existing leads everybody else to assume very bad things about people in positions, thinking they didn't earn it. DEI, that person didn't earn it. That's not because of how people are thinking. It's because of the policies that are letting incompetent people take the job of competent people because of how they look, because of something about them, their sex, their skin color, their choices in the mattress or in the sheets. It's like that has nothing to do with calling balls and strikes, nothing to do with flying an airplane, nothing to do with operating a backhoe. Just show that you're competent. You want to be a starting pitcher, throw the ball and get the people out. Just do a job. But DEI is like, well, not everybody needs to be able to do a job, Like we need more people, more representation. More representation. How about more competence? So, all right, Nick Sorter here says breaking President Trump has just ordered all federal agencies to delete employees' COVID-19 vaccination statuses. All federal agencies must delete COVID-19 vax status. They also must delete any records of vaccine non-compliance and exemptions. Finally, nobody should be discriminated against for refusing the vax. Amen. Amen. This should have never happened. You have no business getting involved. No business. Mandating what we put inside of our bodies. Fuck off. No, that is a dangerous slippery slope there. Thank you for flipping this. And all of the pressure this put on people. Oh, do I go bankrupt or do I insert this experimental thing into my body with lifelong repercussions? I don't think I need this thing, but I don't want to be sleeping on the streets either. Those tyrants that did that to you do not deserve to walk the streets. They need to be punished legally. I'm open to legal framework on exactly what you charge these people with. They had no business forcing you to make medical decisions like that. So I'm glad that's happening. Finally, you shouldn't be discriminated against. Hey, Scott Pressler, we invited him onto the show again. We talked with him in Milwaukee. Go back and find it on Rumble and YouTube. Let me put the Rumble and YouTube channels up at the bottom of the screen. New American Media exists on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube at the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. Our podcast is the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. And on X, we are at American_media_. Here is Scott Pressler talking about the work they're doing in Pennsylvania.
At the Jersey Shore, because we are going to elect Jack Chatterelli.
They were in Pennsylvania last time. Now they're in New Jersey. So let me clarify.
For governor this November. And listen, we are the fun party. We are the cute party. We are the party of making things affordable.
What's my shirt say?
Your shirt says, send Obama to Alligator Alcatraz. Well, that's where we send people
really
that
like
break the law.
And he breaks the fucking law, right?
So, vote this November for Jack Chatterelli. Get out the vote at the Jersey Shore.
Alligator Alcatraz. They are very close to completely flipping Pennsylvania, as one of my X posts will show you, and New Jersey looks to be trending in the right direction as well. County by county, city by city, state by state, trying to take the country back.
Preseason play.
I'll mute this here, but Falcons and Lions players decided to pray and run out the clock. Not sure if you caught that one, to end the game when a fellow player was injured during the game, because they know it could, any play, it could be them next. You never know. So they're holding hands here. The time is ticking off the clock, 12 minutes and 20 seconds. You know, heads bowed, and they're saying some words of prayer for the young man. It wasn't, actually don't have an update on his condition. If I could get that. Where would I get that? Let's see on Grok. Update on Lions player injured in preseason. I hope they know who we're talking about. They know. Maurice Norris, serious head neck injury. Injured while tackling running back of the Falcons, Nathan Carter, causing his head to snap back. He was immobilized, taken off the field, transported to the hospital. Stable condition, feeling and movement in all extremities, and remained in the hospital overnight for observation. He posted himself on Instagram the following day saying, "Amen, amen, I'm all good, man. Don't stress it. Appreciate all the check-ins and love." However, there's no clear timeline for his return, with some speculation suggesting a severe concussion could sideline him for weeks or potentially lead to an injured reserve designation. The game was suspended with 6:19 remaining in the fourth quarter, with both teams agreeing to end it early out of respect for Norris. But there they are. They're praying. Prayer's making a comeback. Prayer isn't. We'll just say prayer is finally making a comeback in America. I'd say that's probably a positive thing. Prayers to that guy. All right. Hey, take a listen here. I was talking about this yesterday evening. Jim Jordan here from Ohio, representative, talking with Clay and Buck. This would be Clay Travis, talking about how absurd it is to try to watch your favorite sports. It's a mess. I don't know if this is bothering you, but I do a sports show called The Unhappy Hour, and it's almost impossible to find the content you're looking for. And if you were to, how much would it cost? It's insane.
Committee has sent letters to the heads of the NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA going after blackouts on television. What are you working on there?
Yeah, the whole system now is really complicated for sports fans, and frankly, it's really expensive if you want to watch your team play their games. You know, some people want to buy the package and watch, but this all stems from the 1961 Broadcasting Act, which gave an antitrust exemption to the major sports leagues. We understand that, but we're not in just the broadcast world anymore. We got streaming, we got all kinds of things, cable, streaming, you name it, we have it. So we just want to talk to these folks, and it's a concern we have with. We've got concerns with college sports. It's a slightly different thing there. We're trying to work on that. Americans love sports. They love to watch their team, their college, their pro team. So we just want to talk with these major league or these professional sports leagues and see what's exactly going on.
Your committee has sent letters to the heads of the NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA going after blackouts on television.
All right. We said it's 2025. Just let us watch the games we want and just reroute the Pepsi and Ford advertising to whoever deserves the money. Make it easy on us already. It's a complete mess trying to watch your teams. Everybody needs to get a $15 subscription to something, and it's just so stupid.
We've been talking some.
All right, the Officer Tatum here. An ABC anchor ditches the script and proves how dangerous DC is. Yeah, good. You need to tell these stories because this is truthful.
Much about the numbers. And yeah, usually that's how you play devil's advocate, is you talk about, oh, well, stats say crime is down. However, I can tell you firsthand here in downtown D.C. where we work, right here around our bureau, just in the past 6 months, there were 2 people shot. 1 person died, literally 2 blocks down here from the bureau. It was within the last 2 years that I actually was jumped walking just 2 blocks down from here. And then just this morning, one of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the bureau. So we can talk about the numbers going down, but crime is happening every single day because we're all experiencing it firsthand while working and living down here. We've been talking.
Yep. And we said it's time to tell the truth. And don't forget, crime is down statistically because no one's being charged in Democrat cities. That's the sneaky trick that they're doing on top of it. Of course, the crime is up. We're sick of Democrats increasing criminality everywhere they go. Jack Posobiec talking about D.C. police.
And by the way, so President Trump has the ability to invoke the Home Rule Act for Washington, D.C.
Home Rule Act for Washington, D.C.
So, of course, he can go and directly federalize the Metropolitan Police Force, and in which completely legal, it's been on the books for 50 years. And then you go back even to the Constitution itself. Washington, D.C. has always been a federal district. However, when you talk about the federal government's ability to fight crime in other big cities, people say, oh, you can't do this. Excuse me. Presidents from Lincoln to Eisenhower to Nixon to Johnson all understood that the federal government has a role when crime gets out of control. That should be your bumper sticker. When crime gets out of control, the federal government has a role. We have laws from the Insurrection Act to the Organized Crime Control Act, law after law after law that are currently on the books, national emergency laws that the president has at his disposal, as well, by the way, as his ability to come in and say, if a city does not comply with these requirements, a series of new requirements, for example, then you can cut off all federal funding to that city. So there's so many ways that the president can do this. And I say this as someone who, grew up in the Philadelphia area, not far from Baltimore, not far from New York. And I've seen how these once great cities have descended into absolute.
I think that's the phrase that I used on Real America's Voice last year in the Bronx. I might have been saying that to Jack Posobiec himself, actually.
Abject
these once great cities.
Chaos, Washington, D.C. as well. This entire, and you can name the city, and they're all in the same situation. St. Louis, Birmingham, Chicago, Detroit, etc. It's a joke. It's a national crisis, and it absolutely has to be dealt with.
Well, 100%. And I mean, look at New York City. The new mayor, well, not the new mayor yet, unfortunately, but Zohran Mamdani is literally advocating on defunding the police. He can go back and say, well, I didn't mean that this way. I've changed since then, whatever. But the current progressive leadership in these cities is exactly what's eroding American society. It's eroding America's once great city basis. We have got to set a precedent. And hopefully the success from this, because I know for a fact because the D.C. police union came out today and said, I'm glad this is happening because of the lack of leadership that this city has.
The D.C. police unit came out and said, I'm glad this is happening.
In its own boundaries. Now, when you have police unions coming out.
This is Kenny Cody
saying that, I don't want to hear anything about fascism or anything else about the federal takeover when the D.C. police union is literally saying, please come help us. Our own leadership cannot. And that's the same thing that needs to happen in other cities. There is a lack of leadership because of that priority of social justice over human life.
And by the way, so President Trump has the ability to invoke the Home Rule Act for what?
Okay, I think that segment reset. Yeah, it is time to fix America's once great cities. If you let those rot from the inside out, you don't have much of a nation left. By the way, this is a Redlands school board meeting. This lady's trying to fix the rot inside of DEI, CRT, and the alphabet stuff. Like she's trying to set the record straight here at a Redlands school board meeting.
Broad experience of black and white relations. I am not of the opinion that there is systemic racism. In the words of James Brown, for those of you who remember him, he says, I don't need y'all to give me nothing. Get out the way and I'll get it myself. We don't need equity. I don't need you to take anything from anybody to give to me. I am an autodidact. Many black people are. I'm concerned that all of this empathy, and pardon me for saying so, are the liberal white women. We don't need your help. Your help is harmful. Your empathy is causing too much division, too many problems. The empathy becomes stupidity when you tell a boy he can be a girl because he puts on a dress. That's not empathy. That's not love because it's not truthful. We can speak the truth in love. And to my LGBTQ neighbors, with respect to these dates and commemorations, Pride Month, I showed up at the human relations thing. I was told to get out because I was from the ARC Church. I think they're disingenuous when they say they want to communicate and talk and be heard. I think you want to compel speech. You want to dominate our agency. That's not going to happen. We can live here cohesively. I'm willing to dialogue and get some understanding from you. But you have to understand, you're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to compel my speech. You're not going to take my agency. We can live here together cohesively with understanding and unity. We did that when it was homosexuals, gays, and bisexuals. The TQs, y'all went just stone crazy. We can't even relate to you guys. You guys think the whole world revolves around you and everybody needs to do what you tell us to do. That's outrageous. So please, if you're serious about living in unity and wanting some human relations, wanting some respect, some dignity, have the courage and the respect. The two counselors had no respect. They even admitted it.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you. I have a broad experience of black.
I mean, I'm going to type, this is the way. The crowd really liked that one. I think she earned it. Too many white liberals trying to pretend to be offended on other people's behalf. This is a pretty funny moment. America has our first stand-up comic as a commander-in-chief. Take a watch here.
What is this? You're building the big, beautiful ballroom.
Yeah. This is from the press conference yesterday. It says, you're building the big, beautiful ballroom. How about this other thing, though?
Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room? Technology, more seats.
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable.
The question is this. You're building the big, beautiful ballroom. Yeah. Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room? Technology, more seats.
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable.
I don't want you to be comfortable, but I'll tell you what, I will echo that. I think I'm definitely going to echo it. You know, I was promised by Carolyn Levitt that we were going to have more independent journalists, and I applied to go, and I still haven't received the credentials. Not enough seats, not enough new people coming in. Not ideal. So there you have it, people. There you have it. President Trump, hilarious. I don't want you to be comfortable. And no, he does not want the press to be comfortable. But then again, it's a give and take. It's great comedic chops. All right, here's Kash Patel at this same press conference, I believe, talking about cops being cops.
Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase. We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl. this up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi, your administration's priority of protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do it? And what are we going to bring to D.C.? What we did in Northern Virginia, thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team, we stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops, let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions, and that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons. 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good...
So there you have it. Back on track. Trying to put America back on track. Kash Patel. From the Babylon Bee, Trump vows to drastically reduce the number of criminals in Washington by sending Congress home. Get it? Oh, the Babylon Bee, you're so funny. Dan Crenshaw says it's time to fact check the fact checkers. Hillary Clinton says, as you listen to an unhinged Trump try to justify deploying the National Guard in D.C., here's reality. Violent crime in D.C. is at a 30-year low. Look, violent crime in D.C. hits a 30-year low. Oh, what's this? D.C. police commander just suspended for falsifying crime statistics. Does that invalidate the whole city's numbers? Maybe, maybe not. But it sure makes you question them, and there could be more of this going on. D.C. police commander suspended and accused of changing crime statistics.
Video WUSA 9 captured Saturday morning showed yet another violent teen takeover, this time in Northwest D.C. at the corner of 14th and U Street. The disturbing images...
Dan says, even if the numbers are technically better, D.C. weekends still look like a war zone. Teenagers running wild, shootings, thefts, carjackings, and more.
Shows several people being assaulted in the middle of the intersection. Video WUSA 9.
Around this city a couple times. Mob attacks. Huh. It's like a racist crime, perhaps? Hate crime, 4 or 5 non-white people beating a white person.
Police in Washington, D.C. are
D-R-U-G-R, drugger on the Range Rover.
Investigating the shooting death of a congressional intern. The 21-year-old from Massachusetts was shot Monday night along with 2 others who survived. Police say the
congressional intern terminated in D.C.
Suspects got out of a vehicle and opened fire, but they don't believe the intern was the intended target. He was a senior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He worked for Kansas Representative Ron Estes. Police in Washington, D.C. are investigating the shooting death of a congressional intern. The 21-year-old
President Trump is exactly right to want to turn things around in our nation's capital, where tens of millions of national and international tourists visit every year. Wouldn't you want that city to be an example and a good representation of America? Amen. Right now, it's not. The White House just released a fact sheet, and the numbers are brutal. DC's murder rate is higher than Atlanta, Chicago, even cities in third world countries. Carjackings have exploded 547% since 2018. If this is the first impression visitors get of America, it's a terrible one. The White House said, fact, yes, DC crime is out of control. Anna Paulina Luna says, why is the GOP-led Senate not censured Adam Schiff and kicked him out of committees for what he did? They have an authority to do it. Stop being so low energy, Senate GOP. This guy's a crook. Now he's being investigated for fraud. I agree. He should be stripped from everything immediately. He should be arrested for the coup. Stop calling it the RussiaGate conspiracy. Call it the coup. RussiaGate coup to overthrow the duly elected president of the United States, to make sure he never made it into the position in the first place by illegally spying on him with the FISA warrants, then framing him for multiple impeachments and an insurrection when he said, go peacefully, patriotically, let them know we all know you cheated. Then all the lawfare, 100 bogus charges filed across from Georgia to New York City. Then at least two assassination attempts in Butler and in Florida on a golf course. Oh, yeah, this is a grand conspiracy spanning 9 years of RICO. Adam Schiff, it's time. It's time for about 1,000 people to get arrested at the same day. All right, next story. D.C. police commander placed on leave, rigging violent crime numbers. You're roughly 4 times more likely to be murdered in D.C. than the most dangerous cities in South America, according to Patriot Mindset. Here's D.C. police saying a mob of 20 to 30
Video
teens.
from an employee shows the aftermath. Items scattered everywhere. Police say multiple items were stolen and an employee suffered a minor injury.
Yeah, that's D.C. The judges and the district attorneys are the problem, says a commenter. Yo, yeah. Hey, reminder, meet Christian McGee, 16-year-old, says Danielle D'Souza Gill. Christian McGee just won $20,000, a public apology, and had his record wiped clean after being suspended for saying illegal alien in class. That's a correct term. Our school should never punish kids to please the woke mob. Congratulations, Christian. Yeah, I remember we covered that, I believe, when it happened several weeks ago, perhaps.
Do you
Scott Jennings talking about crime control.
think that is an appropriate use of those federal resources?
I do, actually.
Oh, and that was what my friend was maybe arguing. It's like, well, you know, it would cost too much money. I'm like, cost too much money? It's our nation's capital. You got to fix it. So I don't know. I don't believe it'll cost too much money. That big, beautiful bill had way too much spending in it. And this is one of the things that you shouldn't even bat an eye or think twice about worrying about the money. You should pull it from that big, beautiful bill.
I think it's a disgrace that our nation's capital is crime-ridden. I think it's a disgrace that tourists and visitors come to Washington, D.C. and they don't feel safe. I think it's a disgrace that, roving bands of teenagers are riding, hundreds of dirt bikes around Washington, D.C., shooting guns, shooting off fireworks, and you have these roving bands of carjackers. It's a disgrace. This is our national capital. You shouldn't have to feel that way, whether you live there or whether you're visiting on the streets of Washington, D.C. It's a unique place because it's a federal district. It's not in a state. And I think the president, has rightly decided that something has to be done. It has a very high homicide rate when you compare it to other world capitals. And so I'm anxious to see how far he wants to take this. But frankly, I think for the people who live there and the people who visit there, they're going to welcome extra police presence on the street. That carjacking that happened to the White House staffer the other night, there were a couple of cops sitting there. Had they not been sitting there and witnessed that, I don't know what would have happened to that poor kid. He got beat
Oh, okay. So it could have been worse.
up by 10 people, a 10-person
He could have been terminated.
gang. And so I think the more patrols you have, whether it's park police or whoever, the safer people will feel going around our nation's capital. They exist in a state of lawlessness. I mean, we have blue cities all over this country and blue states that have sanctuary laws where they have encouraged illegal immigration. I mean, that's the problem in California, is that illegal immigration has been welcomed and coddled. And then when you go in and try to enforce federal law, there was, all sorts of unrest and violence and mayhem on the streets. And so that was a situation brought about by the local officials there trying to resist, I think, the enforcement of federal immigration law. In Washington, D.C., everybody who lives there and everybody who visits there on a regular basis knows it's not safe. It is not safe. And there's even discussion in the ranks of the police department there. I think one guy's been put on suspension because they've been downplaying the crime statistics there to try to give people a false sense of security. So I don't think this is political. I think it's about safety. And in the case of California and other blue states, I think it's about the enforcement of federal immigration laws that are on the books. And you have Democrats in those places trying to resist that. I do not understand it.
Do you think that is an appropriate use of?
There you go. And that chimes in with what Lake Leon just said. Just enforce the current laws. Yeah. Well, you got to make sure it's under new leadership. That's step one. So, yeah, leadership matters. Second month in a row that 0 illegal aliens have snuck into the country. All it took, you didn't need new laws, you just needed a new president.
We're at a time of change, and we are seeing declassifications now happening at
This is Mike Benz, of course.
breakneck pace. We saw the JFK files mass declassified. We saw the Martin.
And there's music in the background. We saw the Martin Luther King files declassified. We saw the Crossfire Hurricane comments declassified. We saw the classified annex involving George Soros and Leonard Bernardo, if you recall, myopically obsessed with stopping misinformation and disinformation. How can we take on social media freedom? But the fact is, you have all these internal documents at the State Department and USAID and the U.S. Institute of Peace, and it is my hope, my dream, that we get USAID files. We get State Department democracy rights and labor files. That's the group that Norm Eisen's crew works within the State Department. This democracy money spigot. We're at a time of change, and we're seeing declassifications. So that's Mike Benz. So don't be dissuaded. Things are happening. Good things are happening. Here's Matt Gaetz talking about foreign lobbying.
Trip. I went on subsequent trips, and there is an actual downward pressure from the leadership and even the committee chairs. Like if you're on the Foreign Affairs Committee, if you're on the Armed Services Committee, if you're on the Intelligence Committee, there's like an expectation that you go there in some sort of like, I don't know, congressional Hajj. And I remember being I'll never go back. I was at the King David Hotel, and I rolled back to my room unexpectedly when the rest of the group was still on some planned activity. And there's some dude in my room. I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing here? And he acted like he was associated with the hotel and taking an inventory, but had no clipboard. And so, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why they want members of Congress over there. And it is ideologically to steep them in this notion that the protection of Israel is of great import to people in America. But it's really not that important to voters, and that is becoming more clear on the right and left. I went on that APAC trip. I went on subsequent trips, and there is
walked into his hotel room, finding a stranger posing as a hotel employee claiming to be taking inventory without a clipboard. Wow. Actor Gary Sinise takes children of fallen U.S. military families on an all-expenses-paid trip to Disney World every year. According to Danielle D'Souza Gill, we need more stars in Hollywood who honor our heroes in our country. Bravo. This guy is a kid offender, kidnapping a child from a playground. No trial, and they just sent him to detention where he's likely to be released. Some sort of mental thing, and he's likely to be released is the thought. This guy detains a counterfeiter who's overdosing, allegedly, and he's sentenced to 23 years. That's a tough comparison there. Would you agree or disagree with this characterization? Do you think Chauvin was judged based on an accurate autopsy finding? Weren't there multiple autopsies? There were some reports that said there was nothing that caused a death. There was nothing. And then there was another one that did, because they said, go back and rewrite this so that it says what we want it to say. That's the accusation, at least. You saw this guy on the right try to kidnap an 11-year-old at recess, and I just don't understand how people like this are getting out. And the suspicion is based, I believe it was Colorado. I think the Colorado laws are going to say, get a little bit of treatment and then just dump him into the general population and go do it again. Yeah, I don't know. Ben Shapiro, there's a lot of people that don't think Chauvin got a fair trial. And remember, they let him get shanked. Like if there's a high profile person that you just don't leave alone so that they can get shanked, it would be that guy, unless they're trying to do it intentionally. Yeah, I guess everybody's a potential target, but Epstein and Chauvin, they're huge targets. And no, the optics were not great with that Minneapolis case. It looked like he was ended by a cop. If you don't have the context of the initial stop, where it looks like when you pause it that he might be swallowing something, as I believe that was what happened on a previous case. So he couldn't get caught with drugs. He ingested the drugs, and it caused an overdose, according to some. I mean, the guy was panicking, and he was having a freak out, a heart attack, a panic attack, a overdose, something. Some sort of medical, physiological event was occurring with Floyd. And he was arrested peaceably, and he was put in the back of a cop car. But they had the other door open, and the guy squirmed out and ended up onto the road, and that's when put the knee down and just held him there. I mean, I didn't see like Homer Simpson, like strangling somebody with malice, like shaking the neck, like in a cartoonish manner. It was just, but yeah, as the guy's like not responding, there needs to be a different way. I've called on this. Like, the optics are terrible based on, the eye test. It doesn't look good to just glance at that footage of a neck, of a knee that looks like it's on a neck. It's like, oh, that killed him. And maybe it did. And one of my major calls was, find a way. You got a person arrested with their hands arrested or clasped together. Put something on the ankles that holds the ankles together, and then connect the ankles to the wrists. If somebody's freaking out, get off of them. It looks too bad. Imagine if he was just restrained and he did actually overdose without having a cop on top of him. Would America have burned because of that? Did Chauvin actually do what he was accused of? There's a lot of debate. What's not for debate was that it was amped up as much as humanly possible during an election season when Democrats were openly calling for riots nationwide. The Summer of Love 2020. I don't know. I just don't get how this monster who's trying to literally pick up and walk away with 11-year-olds, like, that person should never be allowed out. I'm sure you'd say the same if you believe that Chauvin ended the life of that guy up in Minneapolis. I get that. All right. The Blaze is reporting here. Here's a Minneapolis mayoral candidate. You would expect that person to be running to make Minneapolis a great place, but he has different priorities.
Day one, if you were elected, what would be some of your top 2-3 priorities for the city?
So that's a very good question. So the first I would say would be a hostile federal government. With
a hostile federal government. Hostile to what? To lawbreakers? To invaders?
Not only Donald Trump in office, but he has essentially a trifecta, both chambers of Congress and the Supreme Court. And a lot of our neighbors, especially...
Neighbors. legal residents, legal citizens, or you're saying illegal alien invaders?
Our undocumented residents are
They're undocumented residents, illegal alien invaders.
very concerned.
And they're very concerned. Why do we care what the illegal alien invaders are concerned with instead of us being concerned with keeping the fabric of our country together, making sure that if there's some small amount of immigration, it's also mixed and connected to assimilation. You don't get a satellite country to just start building out and bringing as many people as you can in. Whatever Biden was doing, the American people were never okay with this. So Minneapolis, you got a choice. I don't know how quick you can clear up those voter rolls and just take control of your city again. Because I fear that you're overthrown. There's a system in place that creates enough ballots so that you can never win another election. I don't know. Good luck. Otherwise, you're going to have a mayoral candidate, Omar Fadi. You know, he's just he's there for Somalia. Why does Minneapolis prioritize Somalia over Minneapolis? That could not possibly be true. But if you're going to let them use mail-in ballots and other fraudulent means of collecting enough votes to make sure that they install their puppets, well, I don't know how you fix Minneapolis. I really don't. Melissa O'Connor here says, as Gavin Newsom tries to redistrict our congressional map to add 5 seats to Congress, remember that in 2021, California needed only 45 minutes to say Newsom won his recall election, but 30 days to submit the final vote count for the 2024 presidential election of Donald Trump. Damn. When you compare it that way. Breitbart, this is from Marlowe, saying investigation season. Why the Department of Justice should investigate Judge Juan Merchan next. I concur. Guilty of participation in a coup, sedition, treason. Stanley Kubrick showed the potential danger of AI long before it existed. I'm afraid I can't do that. What's the problem? Open the pod bay doors, Hal. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. We're there now.
Yes.
Hey, David Bann, this is happening in your the formerly free nation of Canada.
Yesterday, we announced we would increase fines for violating the forest fire regulations. And as I said today, we'll share the details. So effective today, new fines will range from $50,000 to $150,000. For a first offense, when a ticket is issued, fines will increase from $75 to $50,000. And imprisonment in default of payment will increase from 3 days to up to 6 months. For a subsequent offense, fines will increase from $150 to $75,000. Imprisonment for not paying will increase from 6 days to up to 6 months. Where there's a summons issued, a first offense, fines will increase from $500 to $50,000 to $100,000 range, and imprisonment will increase from up to 3 months to up to 1 year. For a subsequent offense, fines increase from a minimum.
Anyway, you get what's going on. Canadians better wake up. We said, Canada, blink slowly 3 times if you require liberation. You're saying there's illegal campfires. Oh my gosh, the campfires. You just teach camp safety and tell people to cut it out. Station some extra people around. Figure it out. You don't get to steal people's freedom and liberty. But yeah, COVID taught the government it could do what it wants. You didn't resist them hard enough. We shared you this story a couple months ago, but unfortunately we have a negative update here.
Senator and presidential hopeful has
conservative Colombian senator
died months after an attack in Colombia's capital. The family of 39-year-old Miguel Uribe announcing he had passed away at a hospital in Bogota. Uribe was hospitalized after being shot 3 times at a campaign event 2 months ago. Police have arrested 6 people in connection with Uribe's shooting, including a 15-year-old boy who was charged with attempted homicide. All of the accused have pleaded not guilty. senator and presidential hopeful has died months after an attack in Colombia's capital. The family of 39-year-old Miguel Uribe announcing he had passed away at a hospital.
Well, a conservative was gunned down in Colombia. Really terrible. Defend the conservatives from the violent left. All right, police drone video.
As police officers take down a suspect they say molested a young girl on the beach.
Drone flying high above. You can see Sunny Isles Beach police zeroing in on this BMW. Let's watch this together play out. They are after a wanted man accused of molesting a 15-year-old girl on Sunny Isles Beach. Let's stay with this. Guns drawn. The takedown happens. 22-year-old Wilman de Jesus Martinez Linares.
What was that name again? Wilman de Jesus Martinez Linares. 5 names. I've told you how dangerous people with 4 names are. Now we got a 5-namer. 5-namer. I mean, the day. It's a small name, but I'll still take it. Yeah, beware. You know, they always said like people with 3 names. That's like your mom yelling at you, using your middle name. Uh-oh. Many people that get middle names are like political assassins like John Wilkes Booth or Lee Harvey Oswald. If you have 4 names, but if you got 5 names, man, you must be up to no good.
In cuffs. According to the arrest warrant, the minor met this guy through a friend, also a minor. The subject allegedly got the girls liquor, then took them to the beach. The alleged victim tells cops that the suspect sexually assaulted her while she was saying no.
So we definitely want to get it out to the community that, you know, if there's any other victims, to please contact us here at the police station.
He's on an immigration hold after this bird's eye view.
On an immigration hold, so he's not a legal citizen.
Captures him, cuffed.
In this case, police, as I mentioned, are concerned that there may be more victims. If you feel like you've been victimized by this guy, pick up the phone and call crime.
All right, go ahead and call if you have been. Fine for... Okay, there's all these flags here. I don't know what's going on. There's a Palestine protest burning the Canadian flag, chanting death to Canada, bashing windows and blocking main streets. No fine. But there will be a fine for walking in the woods in Nova Scotia, $29,000. Check this out.
Canada, death to the United States, and death to Israel. Israel, burn, burn. Israel, burn, burn.
Hey, look, the rioters.
And they have me on camera walking in the woods. All right.
Woods walking.
I have a ticket here for, let's see if we can see that, $28,870.50 for victimizing somebody.
Death to Canada. Death to the United States.
I mean, come on, people. Canada needs an enema button. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. I said I fund thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. That's not how it goes, is it? I don't know the Canada song. Does this sound like a threat to anybody?
The president has been trying to provoke violence here, right here, in the black communities and in
the president has been trying to provoke violence here in the black communities. The worst violence is in the black communities. They're in the inner cities. The Atlantas, the Chicagos, the DCs. President Trump hasn't created that.
the brown communities, having ICE kidnap our neighbors.
ICE kidnap our neighbors. Immigrations are doing immigration work for people who are illegally in the country. That's what it exists for. This isn't about your neighbors. Nobody cares about your neighbors or anyone else's neighbors. They care about people in the country illegally. There's a CBP home app to raise your hand and say, I don't think I'm a legal citizen, but I'd like to be. You raise your hand, you go back to where you came from, and then you get back in line and you try to get back in the right way through the front door instead of sneaking in through the back door.
Having the black community be harassed and profiled and
saying the black community is being harassed and profiled.
Want a response. We say, hell no, we won't go.
Our response is no, hell no, we won't go.
When we say we won't go, that means we're not going into those mass incarceration, into their prisons and enslavement.
She couldn't say mass incarceration camps, so she changed it to mass. What'd she say? In prison? Something.
We won't go into their ICE. What do you call?
What do you call? No, she does not know what she's trying to say.
His beautiful centers that he got.
The beautiful centers that he got.
We won't go to where alligators live.
We won't go to where alligators live. Illegal aliens go to Alligator Alcatraz to get processed and sent back to their country of origin. Somebody propped the side of the door open and you snuck into the country illegally. You need to go back. That's what Alligator Alcatraz is. Don't do any crime and people won't go to jail, says David.
Hell no, we won't go.
Hell no, we won't go. Hell no.
They're not going to go to where alligators live.
We won't go. Hell no, we won't go.
Today we gather to speak plainly about policy path that sounds strong, but in truth, it weakens the very safety we seek. We believe there is a better way to protect us all, one that respects rights to build trust and
to respect rights of a sovereign nation, to build trust on the fact that you're going to enter through the front door and we can run a criminal background check on you. Because if you sneak in, I assume you're here for malevolent purposes. So you got it backwards, lady.
Keep our communities truly safe.
No, to keep our communities truly safe, we don't let randos in with bad intentions.
And that is fascism free.
That is what? Fascism free?
Free is not a roadmap to safety. It is a burial. It fails hardest on the black communities that already we bear a disproportionate share of surveillance, stops, and forces.
What?
I want to be clear.
I would love for you to be clear, because this is all kind of not so clear.
Here before. This is a long history. Well before today, the black communities bear the brunt of aggressive policing.
Bear the brunt of aggressive policing. No, the black communities suffer because 95% of the problems are committed by just 5% of the people. And instead of getting them arrested and off of the streets so you can live in a safe community, you want to defund the police. You want to push for people to be dumped back out onto the streets, and you can't charge them with honest crimes. And they keep committing crimes against your community. So it's your terrible policies that are doing this. It's President Trump that's trying to help. You got this completely backwards.
Data and reports from many credible organizations show patterns. Black people are more likely to be stopped, searched, questioned, arrested, and harmed in encounters with the law.
More likely than what? You know that the big blue cities, the big Democrat cities, we showed the statistics. We went through a list. If the statistics were accurate, it shows like 2% of the white population has to fear some sort of a violent shooting attack or something. in these major cities, and it's about 30%, 25, 30% in the black community. It's out of control, 15 times as high. So what do you think would make sense? Well, you might want to police in those communities and get the bad people off the streets so that they're not messing up your communities anymore. Oh, but no, policing is racist because you want more bad people committing crimes against black people in your cities. Do you hear yourself how you sound? If you arrest the lifelong criminals, the violent crime stops. It's gone because they're incarcerated. And the good members of your community won't be terrorized anymore because you understand you can have both good members of your community and bad members of your community. Not everybody's good. Not everybody gets a get out of jail free card.
When we add the presence of federal agents or the National Guard to daily life in these neighborhoods, the burden can multiply. Not by making harm more rare, but making it more visible and more likely to escalate. So be clear, this has been going on. But as you bring more policemen, it's going to escalate.
As you bring in more policemen, it's going to escalate. It's going to escalate.
Black Washingtonians have long recognized that community violence cannot be solved through state violence and have asked for meaningful investments and solutions that are proven to work. Racist.
She was handed the script. I don't know who wrote it for her. There's some bunk talking points. David says, blah, blah, blah. Someone should ask her how she would stop the crime. Exactly.
Over-policing goes beyond D.C.
Over-policing. See, all those extra criminals that should be behind bars that need more policing. No, see, the actual problem why there's crime in these communities, these black communities, these inner city communities, these Democrat-run cities, it's because of over-policing and getting all the bad people off the streets. It feels like it's the exact opposite, but that's what they're trying to tell you.
As the roots of American policing in many regions, like in Slave Patrol.
Slave Patrol. She's saying that police are slave patrol. So you should have your car broken into. You should get carjacked. Otherwise, you're in favor of slave patrol? This is really the toxins that they're dumping into these inner cities? Having people like this read such rubbish? It's slave patrol to keep people from getting shot and killed on your street. Slave patrol to keep people from breaking into buildings, vandalizing all the property, having flash mobs destroy local businesses. Huh. Who knew?
Have been enslaving and murdering black people with freedom for punishment for centuries.
What?
I stand in front of you today with a signal to the residents of D.C. and the country that we will not be idle as oppressive structures try to harm our communities and take power. The fight for black liberation and the liberation of all people will not stop no matter our oppression, intimidation, manipulation tactics.
I don't get it.
We
have the right to be attacked in our communities by people of our communities without help from, what did she call them? Slave catchers? We want to be attacked in our communities, and how dare they send people in to arrest the bad people? We want crime in our communities. It doesn't make any sense.
Right to demand respect, to protect ourselves and protect each other.
Yeah, we need crime. Woo, crime.
And as the executive director of Hers Wildest Dreams, I want to name white people's civil rights have never been in danger because they...
White people's civil rights have never been in danger. Oh my God. I didn't think this interview could get any more interesting. We've had decades of DEI aimed at white America. Decades finally being undone. The institutional racism in America has been, in the past 50 years, against white Americans. And she said the exact opposite. That's So interesting, and it's so sad. Affirmative action was nothing more than bigotry against white Americans because of the color of our skin. And a lot of people didn't say anything about it. Just, I don't know why. It was part of the woke mind virus at the time. Well, people that aren't me might have done things that weren't great to people that weren't those people. So today we need to prioritize making sure all of those people get extra benefits that we restrict and delete and remove and erase from that group of people. Huh? Well, that's how it went. That's how it went. I don't even know. David says, in her mind, let's just keep everything corrupted as possible, and we can continue to make money off of the suffering. Well, there's that. Not only does she want to keep people on the plantation, she's probably got a big part owner in the D.C. area plantation. Yeah, she is flat out racist, says Lake Leon. Jasmine Crockett wrote it for her. I don't know. That's news to me. I mean, the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, didn't earn it. It's all been to automatically subtract. You know what it is? It's like playing the New England Patriots, and at the beginning of every game, you say, well, you know, previous Patriots teams from previous seasons had it too good for too long, so we're going to start the game off. You're down 14 points. No, we can't start the game negative. All right, fine. Well, then the other team starts off with plus 14 and you're at 0. You're like, that's the same. Like, well, we're doing it.
They are white. The white civil rights represents the desire from the Jim Crow. Full stop. At Hers Riders' Dreams, and as we support Free D.C., we're fighting against mass incarceration, policing, ICE, violence to...
Fight against policing. We're going to fight against policing.
Towards immigrants and Muslims, violence in Palestine, worker exploitation, and more. We're fighting for freedom and safety for all people.
They're fighting for freedom and safety for all people. I mean, good luck with that. Really, good luck.
The president has been...
Because, by the way, as you bring in more policemen, it's going to escalate. We won't go to where alligators live, in case you were curious. All right, breaking. Kim Davis, the Kentucky clerk who was jailed in 2015 for refusing to violate her Christian beliefs, is taking her case to the Supreme Court. She simply did not want to be the person who issued a marriage license to a same-sex couple. This isn't just about her, it's about whether the government can force Americans to betray their faith or be punished. So keep your eyes peeled. Kim Davis, Kentucky clerk, jailed in 2015, taking her case to the Supreme Court. Raging West puts out here, Marine Le Pen's RN party has smashed their all-time polling record this month and is now leading Emmanuel Macron's party by 18%. The French want their country back. France is standing up. DC Drano reports that an FBI whistleblower has testified under oath that the FBI will not allow 11,000 hours of footage from J6 to be released because it would expose undercover agents committing crimes inside the Capitol. Not only was J6 a Fed setup, but now it's confirmed that the FBI are also covering its tracks. Whistleblowers are saying FBI retaliated against them. Something about this feels off. I don't really see what it's linking. Whistleblowers, retaliation. I guess just FBI whistleblower testifying.
During the
D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwalb says, what did this guy say? Look, you thought that last lady was incomprehensible with the drivel coming out of her mouth? Check this dude out.
discussion, residents did not hold back, voicing their frustrations.
I blame the system.
Many questioning why kids aren't being held accountable.
We as a city and a community need to be much more focused on prevention and surrounding young people and their families with resources if we want to be safer in the long run. We cannot prosecute and arrest our way out of it.
We can't arrest our way out of it. Yes, you can. In fact, it's literally the only thing that will work. You can arrest and prosecute your way out of it. In fact, it's all that's going to work. Actually, that's what I'm going to type. Arresting and prosecuting your way out of crime is literally the only thing that will work. Dude is 100% wrong. Yeah, you want to also add resources? Add resources. But you know what you do? The resource is clear guidelines. You arrest all the dirtbags and you throw them away for a long time. That sends a clear message not to do that. She's about as sharp as a pillow, says Kenneth. Imagine trying to talk to this person on any given day. What a nightmare it would be. I know. And some of us have those people in our classrooms or our HR department, or as neighbors or as family. Oh, it's so tough trying to talk to people that are out to lunch. It is, it's a tough one. All right. MSNBC contributor Eddie Glaude is furious that President Trump wants to stop crime in D.C.
Chris, to be honest with you, I'm trying to hold my temper.
Oh, boy. Joe, watch out. We got big temper boy over here. Woo. Here he comes in. Comes in hot with his temper. Try to control that temper. Keep it in, boy. Is that what he said? Hang on. How did he come in here?
Chris, to be honest with you, I'm trying to hold my temper.
Okay. Let me revise my previous statement to say, "Whoo boy, trying to restrain my temper." Okay. Tough guy coming through.
I think there's an ongoing argument that he's having in his head with Black Lives Matter.
Are you talking about President Trump saying that he's having an ongoing argument with Black Lives Matter?
There's an ongoing argument that he's having with the questions around criminal justice reform and police reform.
Criminal justice reform, President Trump actually did a lot with Kim Kardashian and others to try to make some headway. If there's nonviolent people that want to try to get back into society, I think we owe it to find a way to get some people some life skills and help get them set up with some jobs and some affordable housing so they can kind of get on their own and start taking care of themselves and be out of the system. Oh, I agree with that.
It's interesting that he really doesn't really care.
It's interesting that you think you can get inside of his head to say that he doesn't care. That's quite an astonishing thing to say, given all the time and energy he put into this stuff during his first term as well.
About what's actually happening in D.C. in a certain...
He lives in D.C. Of course he cares about what's happening in D.C. Claiming this has something to do with something other than the fact that they're living in D.C. and that they have all the dignitaries coming in to do business and they have all of the tourists coming in. He wants the city to be clean. He wants it to be safe. That's it.
On a certain level, because he's not trying to get at the underlying root causes.
Oh, underlying root causes. Like what? Something we should explain away. Something that should grant the criminals a free pass. Is that what you're saying? Well, there's underlying issues like, something I could say next that would absolve me of all accountability for my actions. Well, I'm done with that. We're all done with that. This hasn't worked anywhere. It's time for people to become accountable for their actions.
He's not looking at examples that...
now he's not looking at examples. Okay.
Of how to address...
Then why did home rule exist? Why was it a thing?
Rising crime rates that doesn't require a form of policing that leads to increased incarcerality and the like.
Incarcerality?
Let's look at what's going on in Baltimore. Let's look at what's happening actually in places like Baltimore and Chicago.
Let's see, Baltimore, Chicago. Are these also places where they're not adding up the real crime numbers because they don't want things to look bad? Is that what's being referenced here or not?
Chicago, right? So part of what we have to
do
is to understand, and Oakland, we have to understand.
Oakland, they lost all 3 professional sports teams, and it became the only city that In-N-Out Burger had to leave because of the crime. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember that.
In this, Chris, within the context of Donald Trump's racial politics.
Donald Trump is about racial politics. No, it's not Barack Obama, who was the most divisive political figure for 16 years on the scene, poisoning the minds of... Okay. All right.
Within the context of his effort to get Epstein off the front pages. I understand David's point, but when we try to treat this as a rational response, then we lose sight of the actual politics that's being played here. And he's actually trying to give his base red meat.
He's trying to give his base red meat. Well, guilty is charged if red meat equals clean, safe cities. Oh my gosh. You mean they want to arrest the people that are breaking into the cars? You're damn right. You throw away the key. Let them think about what they've done. If they get hit a second time, do 5 times the minimum sentence. You cannot allow the inmates to run the asylum. You're damn right. If that's red meat me up. Red meat me up, Scotty.
To get them off of the Epstein story, and it's on the backs of citizens in Washington, D.C.
It's protecting the backs of citizens. Oh, wasn't that Seth Rich that got shot in the back in Washington, D.C.? The hero Seth Rich? Was he shot in the back? Huh. Interesting how this guy's misrepresenting the entire story.
See, he's going to undermine the democratic process.
Undermine the democratic process. Uh-huh. Yeah. Because what? Residents of D.C. should be able to vote in increased unnecessary criminality?
In the district. Chris, to be honest with you, I'm trying to hold my temper.
His blue-rimmed glasses. He's trying to hold his temper, everybody. Well, kudos for holding your temper so well. Boy, oh boy. Good job. Yep, there you go. Minneapolis Democrat Socialist mayoral candidate Omar Fadi says his top priority is protecting illegal aliens. A lot of our neighbors, especially our undocumented residents, are very concerned. Democrats will always put illegal aliens over American citizens. Officer Liu reports Republicans are just 52,000 active voters away from turning Pennsylvania from blue to red, marking the smallest Democratic voter registration lead in the state's modern history. Thank you, Scott Pressler. Bravo. Bravo. Here's a video about Joe Biden's body doubles on Joe Rogan. Take a look at that one. This is a new one. Armed carjackers steal a tanker truck in Los Angeles.
As 2 people in the car, and just keeps coming up to trucks here. Please move out of the way. Please, I'm going to widen out because again, this guy has a gun. We don't know what's going to happen. I think
that truck just takes off.
The driver said, "You can have it." Oh my gosh. Yeah, the driver said, "I want nothing to do with it." See the rightful owner there of the semi? He's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get run over. But the guy probably just had a gun to him. So I can only imagine how scared he is to see his semi being taken away here with who knows what is in the back of this semi. Is it some sort of hazardous material? Don't know. If I can see the stickers on the back at some point, we'll try to read it and figure out what.
Can't have music. Cannot have music there. Still music. But they're saying this person actually got away, or these people got away. Look at that.
Because now you have a...
They were able to discreetly ditch the truck before jumping into a black sedan. Officers lost sight of the truck. No arrests were reported early Monday. They think these people got away.
2,000-pound vehicle, which could be used as a weapon against that patrol car. So it's not something that we teach or practice or even think about doing. Yeah. It's a valid question, but it's just not something we do.
We saw somebody running. I wasn't sure whether that was going to be an officer looking to deploy a spike strip or whether it was just someone in downtown watching this play out in front of them. But it's we likely will never know at this point, as they are now blocks away on 3rd Street and Broadway, heading back towards.
Yeah, it's like Grand Theft Auto.
Keeps coming up to trucks here.
They pull up to the truck and they bang it and they get out of the car and they got guns and the guy gets out and starts running. He's like, "You can have my vehicle."
We don't know what's going to happen. I think the driver just ran out. The driver said, "You can have it."
You
Oh
can have
my
it.
gosh. Yeah, the driver said I want.
Maybe it's time for National Guard in Los Angeles. So ESPN's buying up NFL now.
Are we going to ignore the fact that ESPN is tearing down the very world around us?
We
from the Mostly Sports show.
Touched on it yesterday. Yeah.
Touched on it?
Touched on
it, Mark?
But we
touched on it? This is a fucking disaster. Have you guys not been looking around? Have you guys not been paying attention? Hey, ESPN has sucked ass for 2 decades. It's been terrible. A slow descent into hell. Inside the NBA was the most beautiful ESPN-free zone that we had.
Yeah.
And they snuck that one away from us about 6 months ago. They got that one. And now they go after and they get Red Zone. And they get the whole NFL network. They get the whole NFL network. Now they got WWE pay-per-views. Our pets' heads are falling off.
But I'm with you. It's not good.
They ruined their own network. Now they're going to ruin everything else.
Everything's fine. Why you're overreacting? Let's just wait and see. And then we're going to wait and see. It's going to be dog shit. And then you just slowly get used to it. And
are we going?
ESPN has been terrible. That's why we started the Unhappy Hour. The anti-ESPN is what we called it. Everything woke.
People were thinking.
David Harris Jr. says Trump called it. CNBC says tariffs worked. We're over the hump.
Thinking this will finally be the time when we see it. We saw a little, but not that much. Does that summarize what happened?
Absolutely. If I look at all the metrics, as I said, we were hotter in the beginning of the year, even on the hottest read on that year-over-year core. What it tells me is that if you take it very simple, you summarize very accurately. There's been a push that things are going to get worse. You're going to look at a month that's going to be really scary. But most likely, if you look at the entire regime of the effects of tariffs and the uncertainty, we are definitely over the hump. And considering that this number isn't worse than expected, I would say moving forward that your interpretation is exactly correct. We're way over our skis, and what we're really finding is the last mile inflation is sticky, it was sticky, and really in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't break out as that the last 3 or 4 months are extraordinary in any fashion.
People were thinking.
There you go. New jobs data was out, and they're reporting it 2 different ways right now. For what it's worth, they're trying to say it's good. They're trying to say it's bad. Kristen Sokoloff here says 3 deceased, 1 injured in an Austin shooting at Target. 32-year-old man opened fire in the parking lot. This was yesterday afternoon. 2 adults and a child gone. Suspect fled in a stolen vehicle, crashed it, hijacked a second car before being apprehended in South Austin with a taser. Miss Muckraker reporting, breaking D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser admits she cannot prevent President Trump's takeover of Washington, D.C. after reviewing all legal options. Spotted in D.C., someone put a note on their car window asking for their car not to be broken into for a 5th time. The person writes, "There's nothing of value in this car. Only restaurant supplies and broken dreams. Please don't break the windows for a 5th time." That is just absurd. People begging for some common decency in the cities. We showed you this clip of this anchor on ABC, downtown DC, right here. 6 months. In the 6 months, 2 people shot, 1 dead. I was actually jumped walking 2 blocks down from here. This morning, one of my coworkers' cars was stolen. It's nuts. President of the D.C. Police Union came out in full support of President Trump's takeover of the police department. Completely agree with the president. The crime in D.C. is out of control. Something needs done. The fact that we need help from a federal law enforcement and maybe even the National Guard should not come as a surprise. Yep, there you go. Here's the exact quote. My father always used to tell me, "Son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in, because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen is dirty also. If our capital is dirty, our whole country is dirty." I like that. Breaking. Adam Schiff signed off on the leaking of classified information to damage President Trump over the Russia conspiracy, according to FBI memos. There you go. Some redactions. And I guess you can use AI to go through the redactions and it will fill in the missing words. Some cases, many cases, all cases, some percentage that's not 0. They can figure out what words have been blocked out. Trump's Pentagon plans to create a domestic civil disturbance quick reaction force. DCDQRF, Domestic Civil Disturbance Quick Reaction Force, with hundreds of National Guard troops to swiftly deploy to U.S. cities during protest or civil unrest, according to the Washington Post. How great is that? Champagne socialist commie Mom Donnie slammed for hogging $2,300 apartment despite six-figure salary in a wealthy family. Oh. A video of Islamists marching in Idaho advocating for Sharia law. All right, well, it's everywhere, people. Belgium, a Muslim woman was surrounded and attacked by Muslim men in Antwerp for showing her arms in summer. Okay. Supreme Court is set to hear a case this year that could potentially overturn the legalization of same-sex marriage. Didn't hear that one yet. U.S. set to end funding for the Ukraine war business, according to Vice President Vance. President Trump's bid to release Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury transcripts are denied by Obama Judge Engelmayer. Nancy Pelosi said Donald Trump delayed deploying the National Guard on Jan 6 when our capital was under violent attack and lives were at stake. Now he's activating the D.C. Guard to distract. Chief Stephen Sund says, ma'am, it's long past time to be honest with the American people. On January 3rd, I requested National Guard assistance, but your sergeant at arms denied it. Under federal law, I was prohibited from calling them in without specific approval. That same day, Carol Corbin at the Pentagon offered National Guard support, but I was forced to decline because I lacked the legal authority. On January 6th, while the Capitol was under attack, and despite my repeated calls, your sergeant at arms again denied my urgent requests for over 70 agonizing minutes, running it up the chain for your approval. When I needed assistance, it was denied. Yet when it suited you, you ordered fencing topped with concertina wire and surrounded the Capitol with thousands of armed National Guard troops. It's all coming out now. Secret Service and NYPD just pulled off Operation Flagship, according to Desiree here. Busting a bodega that was skimming EBT funds and debit PIN numbers. Clerk denied taking EBT, but agents tested it and it worked. Then they yanked the illegal reader and 14 other skimmers tied to organized fraud rings. This is how you protect families and not thieves. How overdue is that? Jimmy Kimmel has secured an Italian citizenship as liberal celebrities threaten an exodus under Trump. Huh. Almost as if the rats understand that the ship is sinking. Almost as if they know their time is about up. What if they're starting to get tipped off and they are going to try to flee? Try to avoid some extradition, some justice. I don't know. I think there's more to this story than... I think this is a significant story. The Vikings are bringing in a male cheerleader. The Minnesota Vikings. Blake Wally's Minnesota Vikings. Favorite team. Male cheerleader on the sidelines this year. Now, my guitar player in my band in college was a male cheerleader as well. So, I mean, male cheerleaders are not new, but I mean, is this a guy that's going to be dressed as a guy doing guy things or a guy dressed as a girl doing girl things? What do you mean guy things and girl things? Well, we mean what we mean. Jimmy Kimmel, more like Jimmy Criminal. Jiminy Jillikers. All right. How to liberal. Sleep while the city burns, walk past all the homelessness, walk past all the crime, and then get on your phone and go, I can't believe Trump wants to clean up the city. Orange man bad. Okay.
Day one, if you were elected, what?
Yeah. Minneapolis, reclaim your city.
Governor Abbott.
Talking gerrymandering. What do? Governor Greg Abbott responds here on CNN.
It does this. In Texas, we're going to add 5 Democratic seats. Are you not worried at all about a redistricting, gerrymandering arms race going on? And theoretically, is it not just better for voters to be picking their politicians instead of politicians to be picking their voters through gerrymandering?
Well, to be clear, listen, all those big blue states, they've already gerrymandered. Look at the map of Illinois. Look at the map of California, New York, and Massachusetts, and so many other blue states. They gerrymandered a long time ago. They got nothing left with regard to what they can do. And know this, if California tries to gerrymander 5 more districts, listen, Texas has the ability to eliminate 10 Democrats in our state. We can play that game more than they can because they have fewer Republican districts in their states.
Governor Abbott does this. In Texas, we're going to add 5 Democratic seats. Are you not worried at all about a redistricting, gerrymandering arms race going on? And theoretically, is it not just...
So interesting. It seems like this whole gerrymandering thing is about to backfire completely. Here's Benny Johnson. Look, have you seen this footage? He says, my security camera will show you what life was like for a family living in D.C. I didn't realize it was this bad. Here's a mass shooting and a murder in my front lawn, followed by my house being set on fire with my wife and child inside. These are regular occurrences for D.C. residents. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. I lived just a few blocks from the U.S. Capitol. There were open drug deals and arms deals constantly outside my house. My family was threatened on a near daily basis. Racist epitaphs were hurled at my wife and infant children, rocks thrown at us as we walked down the street, and constantly targeted for being white in a black neighborhood. No one gave a shit. Judges and cops saw us as the problem. When D.C. defunded their police, the city was turned into a deadly war zone. Every resident was terrorized. D.C. is a failed state. D.C. home rule is a mistake. The worst, most entitled racists living off your tax dollars and desecrating our nation's capital, turning the seat of Western civilization into a deadly welfare narco state. Entire neighborhoods need to be cleared out and bulldozed. This can't happen soon enough. Every American must support Trump federalizing the city, and martial law is a point of American pride. Restore the seat of Western civilization. Abby Phillip attempts to give President Trump a bad name. And does she know that she's making him sound awesome?
Let's get right to what America's talking about. Donald Trump makes himself Batman, and the nation's capital is Gotham City. The president of the United States has declared himself crime fighter in chief, and he's taking over Washington's police force. It is a move that the D.C. mayor is calling unsettling and unprecedented. Let's get right to what America...
Yeah, President Trump is Batman. Gotham City's a problem.
Is talking about. Donald Trump makes himself Batman, and the nation's capital is Gotham City.
Yeah, it's just sort of making him sound cool. George Will on Zoran Mamdani I want him to win. I think every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. Tim Pool's like, dude, Chicago already did. Seattle already did. Portland already did. At a certain point, these retards will realize it's not just confined, it's an epidemic. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll show them. We'll let them get another terrible government. Yeah, there's plenty of terrible governments. They're not really learning, though. Adam Schiff. Trump says the real scandal here is that classified information is illegally given out by intelligence like candy. Very un-American. Schiff says the real scandal here is that Flynn lied about Russian contacts and did nothing about it until the leak. Stop whining and act like a president. Oh. General Flynn says, hey, Adam Schiff, what goes around comes around, especially when you're a lying sack of... Leader Thune, impeachment, censure, and dismiss. He's going away for a long time. Adam Schiff deserves to go away for a long time. Isabella Maria DeLuca says an estimated 14% of American men have paid for sex. That's not a fringe group. It's approximately 17 million men. It's not about isolated bad guys. It's about a culture that normalizes buying access to women's bodies, often ignoring the reality behind that transaction: coercion, trafficking, addiction, poverty, and abuse. Every purchase fuels an industry built on exploitation, not consent. If that number shocks you, good. It should. And that's what I had to share with you on Instagram. I voted for Batman, says Lake Leon. Kenneth says, my friend Jerry Mander had a pet salamander. Nice. Lake Leon calls him a rhino chicken, Abbott. And what else did you say? You had a nickname for, Eye Patch McCain, Dan Crenshaw. All right, buzzing through our X feed. Here's our Patreon. It's pinned to the very top of our X feed at American_media_. If anyone wants to sign up, let me put that link up on the screen. We have a Patreon at The New American Media. Thank you to everybody who signed up to be monthly supporters, and everybody who will consider doing that in the future. We welcome you to jump on board as soon as you're ready. Welcome aboard as soon as you're ready. We'll be super happy to have you. Also, we have a tip jar on Venmo and Cash App. That's at my name, Brian, Brian, Engelman, Engelman. Also, PayPal, the email address to use is fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com to send something over. The donation links are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. But yes, pinned to our X account is our Patreon feed. You can click it and listen to us discuss all of the things with John B. Wells from Caravan to Midnight. Representative Steve Scalise told Congress that Adam Schiff possessed over 3,500 pages of illegally obtained phone records targeting members of the press and even fellow lawmakers. Scalise says Schiff selectively leaked this info for what he called treasonous political gain. In 1992, here's Joe Biden talking about how dangerous Washington, D.C. was when he's driving home.
Driving home, my staff who lives here in the Hill reminded me, don't stop at a stoplight until I'm out of town. If I see a red light late at night, since there's very little traffic, slow up at the other block so I never come to a full stop except in the middle of the block because of carjackings. Stopping at a light, people standing in a corner, walking up with a gun. Driving home, my staff who lives here in the Hill.
Yep, DC's been a mess for far too long. Rasmussen Reports says, in case you missed it, the Director of National Intelligence declassified evidence of the Obama administration's conspiracy to subvert President Trump's 2016 victory and presidency. Oh, yeah, Obama's going down for the coup. Sedition, treason, all of it. Megyn Kelly, yes. Pete Hegseth, go. You've heard what's happening across our nation with the purchase of farmland by military installations. Well, that's an issue.
I want to know who owns the land around our bases and strategic bases, and getting an understanding of why foreign entities, foreign companies, foreign individuals might be buying up land around those bases. That's something I should be paying attention to on behalf of the American people, on behalf of my department, and on behalf of the president. It's common sense. And so food security, just like energy resilience, just like where we get our water, that's all national security, especially in a contingency. So we would be asleep at the wheel if we were not fully a party to an effort like this to ensure that our nation had the food supply it needs. But specifically, our troops have what they need on our bases so that in those moments you can rely on us here in the United States to provide that security. So no longer can foreign adversaries assume we're not watching and we're not paying attention and we're not doing something about it, because we are. So, Brooke, thank you very much. I want to know.
There you go. Getting to work on it. Laura Logan, this is 1 minute and 24 seconds of seditious conspiracy captured on videotape. Yeah, former director of CIA John Brennan is testifying, but they're saying that he's fled the country.
So, Director Brennan, do you know who commissioned the Steele dossier?
I don't.
Do you know if the FBI paid for any portion of the Steele dossier?
I don't know. I know that there are press reports related to that, but I don't know. I have no firsthand knowledge of that.
Do you know whether any of the underlying allegations made in the Steele dossier were ever tested, probed, examined, cross-examined, whether the sources were examined for reliability, credibility?
I know that there were efforts made by the Bureau to try to understand whether or not any of the information in that was valid, but I don't have any firsthand knowledge of it.
Do you know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications, petitions, pleadings?
I have no awareness.
I just like that phrase. I have no awareness. Yeah, you don't seem to have any awareness because you just walked into a trap and you just perjured yourself.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
There you go. 1 minute, 24 seconds of seditious conspiracy captured on video tape. Laura Logan says, "Excuse my French, but he is so effed. I knew at the time he was lying, and it was so frustrating to watch him get away with it. Thank the Lord, the truth is coming out. Brennan can now be seen by all for the traitor that he is and all his co-conspirators too. It's happening." Why is Odell Beckham trending? Did he sign somewhere? Anything from Odell? Odell has retired. Guess I can drop him from my fantasy football league, though. Odell retires after 10 years. Giants, Browns, Rams, Ravens, Dolphins. Oh, now he says, not done yet. Thanks for concerns and have a blessed day. Okay. Whatever's going on. Just seeing what was trending. Laura Logan explains who's paying for the truth to be withheld from us and who's funding the censorship and gaslighting of the American people. And the answer will enrage you. NGOs masquerading as watchdogs. Jack Posobiec says, here's the D.C. police commander placed on leave over deliberately falsifying crime data. By the way, number of consecutive seasons appearing in the Associated Press football poll. Ohio State 58. That's between 1968 and 2025. Next closest is Georgia, 97 to 25. Yeah, Buckeyes are doing quite well right now. Football's about to start. And Wokeness says, holy schlit, 2 city councilmen in Detroit were just charged with forging mail-in ballots. Oh my gosh. Keep your eyes peeled on Detroit. City councilmen forging mail-in ballots. These two look guilty for some reason, don't they? Preseason grades, week 1, out of all the rookie quarterbacks, Shedeur Sanders had the best PFF grades. He had an 82. Jackson Dart had an 81. Then a big drop off to 55, 54, 46, and 32. So Brown's definitely got some good play out of Shadur Sanders. So what is this? Hustle Bitch says, do you realize what Rosie O'Donnell has just activated?
Black out the system. Black out the system.
Black out the system, she says. Is there going to be a cyber attack? Are you ready, people? Are you ready for the caged animal to start lashing out? Are you ready? War Nurse says, as the story goes, Barry Obama Soetoro ordered the hits on Breitbart and Tom Clancy. At the same time, Breitbart and Clancy were working on a novel about a coup in the U.S. based on Barry's installed presidency, controlled and run by Iranian-born Valerie Jarrett and financed by ultra-rich Saudi nationals. Now, that's a lot to unpack. And we just said, now, here's an interesting theory. What say you on that theory? I don't know that I've heard that before, that Tom Clancy was a part of the Breitbart thing. Clandestine says, hear me out. The Trump admin released a series of documents showing incontrovertible evidence that the Obama regime, the IC, the MSM, the DNC, etc., are still engaged in a coup to overthrow Trump. And now U.S. military is being deployed to D.C. and potentially other cities to quell the crime and violence in these Democrat-run strongholds. All of this is happening while grand juries are being impaneled for the RussiaGate conspiracy, and while Trump and his administration have been warning us that accountability is coming for this treasonous plot. This sounds very similar to how Lincoln used the Insurrection Act in the Civil War to address the secession of the South, restore federal order, quell uprisings, and the eventual suspension of habeas corpus and military arrests. Based on the documents shown by Tulsi and us witnessing the last 10 years of the Trump witch hunt, is it wrong to suggest that we were in sort of a quasi-cold civil war? Is it wrong to suggest the Democrats' coup against President Trump meets the criteria of an actual insurrection? I think there is much more going on than meets the eye. Trump is preparing for something very big. I think technically we are at war with a domestic threat. We are at war with the enemy from within. So yeah, sources tell Roger Stone that admitted communist, Islamic convert, and traitor John Brennan has fled the country and is hiding out in Austria, where MSNBC has built a makeshift studio for him to make it appear that he's in the United States. Brennan has no intention of returning to the country and can be considered to be on the lam. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but I surely think he's going to be at the top of the list, the first people to be indicted. Keep your eyes peeled. Grant Cardone says it's official. California is a land grab. Just informed by FEMA in California that if your home was affected by fires, you're required to spend more than 50% of the previous home's value raise the entire property structure to new floodwater requirements. I'll be forced to raise a perfectly good property 3 to 4 feet at a cost of $50 million. This will make it impossible for anyone to rebuild, adding years to completion. Everything the California government suggested about coastal approvals, fast tracking, etc., was a lie. Hey, Canada has a new message since hiking causes fires isn't working.
Me going for a walk in the woods is going to cause a fire. I can understand why people think that that's ridiculous. But the reality is it's not that you might cause a fire. It's that if you're out there walking in the woods and you break your leg, we're not going to come and get you because we have emergency responders that are out focused on a fire that is threatening the lives of New Brunswickers. And if you take your boat out fishing in a pond in Crown Land and you capsize, we're not going to be able to come and help you out because our
adults can handle their business.
Our first responders are focused.
They are absolutely full of it.
On an immediate and serious threat to our province. And so it's the possibility of diverting emergency resources away from where they are really needed. Me going for a walk and
the wildfire narrative had to change because hiking causes fires wasn't working. This video here is from Right Side Broadcasting Network, 40 minutes long. But I Am Breitbart says this is why they are panicking. tagging MJ Truth Ultra. Now that President Trump is targeting the Sinaloa cartel, the game is officially on. I want you to understand how utterly intertwined certain politicians like Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs are with the Sinaloa cartel. Watch this bombshell testimony and my report. And it goes on explaining all the links here. So check that out. That is what I want to tell you about today. Thank you all for being here. Be back again tomorrow at noon. All the tip jar stuff is at the bottom of the screen. Thank you, everybody. Patreon at the New American Media, Venmo, Cash App, my name, Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment at Yahoo. Yeah, follow us in all the places, please. Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube at the New American Media, Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat, on X at American_Media_, subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. Yeah, and just one final reminder. If any of you could do the YouTube challenge, I need 654 pennies. Each penny is 1 viewed hour. So if you could go on to the New American Media YouTube channel and press play on some videos. Every hour you can have a device, open your laptop, open your desktop, open up a phone, find a 5-hour video, find a 2-hour video, press play, just let them go. Because if I can get 10 hours watched from a few of you, it would take like 5 days of 10. We can do this. I know we can do it if we put our heads together. John Boy's watched just about everything, and he'll probably go back and watch more after that. Because not everything is in the in that playlist, unfortunately. But yeah, we're within striking distance of applying for our monetization. You know, like I said, I wouldn't put it past YouTube to try to screw me again and change the metrics again if we accomplish it. But I'd at least like to cross this off our checklist of things we were able to do. And we're so close. We're like right at the edge. We just need a little bit more. So if any of you can help us out with YouTube, just watch as many extra hours of content as possible. Super appreciated. It could be muted, absolutely, or onto one volume. I don't know if a muted video counts. Maybe you have to have it at one volume, so like you can't really hear it, but I'm not entirely certain. But yeah, we all have devices. It's just all of my devices are linked to things, so like they don't count as like an actual hour. But you can all help if you wanted to assist in that way. But otherwise, I'm going to keep scrolling through the news and finding you some interesting stories for tomorrow. Hopefully, we provided you a wide array of things going on in the universe so that you can be more aware should something come up in a friendly conversation. Like, oh, yeah, we talked about that on the show. Lake Leon says, FYI, my sister is watching videos also. Hey, man. Appreciate you. Thank you. Seriously, thank all of you. And I'll be back tomorrow. All right. Until then, I appreciate you. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace out.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.